I want to discuss more lessons in double speech. Um, this term I want to this term right here. It's real and fake. It's like the term terrorist. There are real terrorists, but most of the people who use terrorism actually are like governments. It's really from the government down, not from the freedom fighters up. They really the people on the bottom really have no way to attack anyone. So the government itself will attack itself. That's called a false flag, and this is a real tactic. It's been used throughout history so many times. It's where you attack yourself and blame the enemy. But anyway, back to schizophrenic. During Russia, after the communists took over, basically, if anyone started to wise up and they would look at their political system and be like, "Wait a second, this is a sham. This they gave us a bunch of promises they didn't keep." You were labeled schizophrenic, sluggish schizophrenic, exactly in Russia. So the rest of the world has followed suit with this. This is the same thing they did in Nazi Germany. If you disagreed with the Nazis, you were schizophrenic. And recently, I also listened to the five most shocking human experiments ever done in history, or the most five shocking inhuman experiments. And it was straight up saying that in the early 1900s, the late 1800s, that quack doctors, doctors of death, psychologists of death, would they would see people and they would exhibit certain characteristics where they would just say it was schizophrenic so they could get them into their asylums so they could give them cold water ice treatments, shock treatments, drug cocktail treatments, lobotomy treatments. And a lot of these people were just innocent. It's just they were convenient because maybe they didn't have family. Maybe they weren't very smart. Maybe they had a different condition that made them susceptible, gullible, trusting, or maybe they had anger issues and it was skewed by doctors in order to get them into their facilities so they could experiment on them. And dude, they do the same thing now. Why does all these psych meds look at their how many of them cause suicidal thoughts. Look at how non-psych meds cause suicidal thoughts. Maybe that's because that ain't anti-cigarette medicine. That's psych meds that make you want to commit suicide. And it's funny that that medication does come from pharmakia, which is ancient shamanism, ancient wizardry, ancient sorcery. And it's not always good. It wasn't always really medicine. It was just, you know, I mean, they used to do injectable heroin. That was medicine. Cocaine was medicine. Everything that basically now you find out that can hurt you bad and was all medicine before they figured out that it was bad. And the same stuff they use to inject people and experiment on them like schizophrenic, because no one cares. Once you're labeled that, you are screwed. You are at the mercy of your captors, basically, of your psi officers, because that's really all your psychologists are psi officers. Because all right, it's like the governmental people need their people on the inside of these institutions to enforce their political correctness. You know what I'm saying? So hey, if you say, whoa, it looks like we're going fascist, communist, socialist, totalitarian. If they send you to the psych ward for that, the doctors have to label you as schizophrenic to cover for the government regime change and the obvious geopolitical restructuring. You know what I'm saying? Because what's true? By me saying that there's a regime change, a geopolitical shift going on right now, does that mean I'm schizophrenic? I mean, if I said everything's fine, everything's okay, that I would actually be schizophrenic then. I would be totally disattached from reality. But the fact that I'm telling you the truth, look, there is a regime change going on. This is true what I'm telling you about sluggish schizophrenia and how the doctors used it as a way to recruit experimentees. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, this is documented. This is historical fact. That's not a lie. Look into asylums back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, 1700s, man. I'm telling you, that shit was medieval. It was all experiments, man. It was all Nazi eugenics. It always has been. So that's another but like I said, there is real crazy people, or demonically possessed people. Because I mean, a lot of things what they would call schizophrenia in the Bible, it was called demonic possession. So I don't know, man. Looking at the scientist track record is not very good. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to people having possessions and spirits and stuff, you can't necessarily disprove that, because what makes people act so wretched sometimes, man? Is it really just them, or have they been influenced, man? Or not even just that, the social engineers, these same guys who would label people whatever they wanted so they could experiment on them, are the people who label the people now. And that's why there's such disorder, man. It's like, really, they should be locking up the psychopaths and the sociopaths instead of making them politicians, man, and rulers and authority figures. Instead of labeling the people who tell the truth schizos.